Hey, how's it going? This is Melinda and welcome to my channel. Today I am talking to you and paying tribute to first pressings, the originals. You know, these wonderful records that came out so long ago. There's so much to be said about first pressings. The tapes were new, the metalwork was new. Just so incredible. The collectible factor, the cool factor. You know, my daughter is going to eventually inherit my collection. And when she does, she's going to inherit a lot of Sgt. Pepper's, a lot of Abbey Roads. And which one do you think she's going to want to keep? I can have in the background here. She's going to want to keep the UK originals, no doubt. Why? Because they sound incredible and they have that cool factor. They were the first to come out. The diehard fans, when these albums came out, they were the first ones to grab them. And so it's just a really cool thing. And I'm going to show some of my favorite first pressings that I have in my collection, and I could make several videos like this. And even in the background, I'm showing original pressings that I have that I've talked about enough on my channel that I decided not to just maybe show them and represent them, but not talk about them because you've heard all about them already. So the inspiration for this video actually is from an auction that was online, Facebook. And you know, I'm not a big technology person. I'm not good at it particularly. You can ask my husband. I'm actually terrible at it. I sometimes question it, where we're going with it. And at the same time, I love it because it's very, very cool that at the end of a Monday, I can put on my pajamas, pop some popcorn, drink a soda, and watch Facebook, where Billy Hurst from Riverbend Records has his vinyl auctions. And if you've not watched his vinyl auctions, I highly recommend it. Go to Facebook, look up Riverbend Records, like them, and on Mondays, every other week, you know, just about, he does these amazing auctions. And I bought a record from him that I absolutely adore. I've been enjoying it so much, and it is a first pressing, and it made me start thinking of all of the wonderful first pressings I have. David Bowie. This came out in 1976, Station to Station. This is a first pressing, and I have a reissue, a recent reissue, but when he showed this one, I've kind of made the switch. I have some of those, a couple of reissues, but I've kind of been going back to wanting those early David Bowie pressings. This one has a little ring wear, little, you know, it's white, so it's not perfect, but the vinyl itself was nearly flawless. When you get into a 1976 record and you can find one in nearly flawless condition that plays without clicks and pops, wow, you've really found something. And of course, some of these records are even older, a lot older than that. So, you know, I talk about how amazing first pressings are, something that we never talk about, but is very, very true. First pressings can have those clicks and pops that are so annoying. A lot of us grew up in a time, or in recent times, we've been able to listen to music, streaming, CDs, even cassettes, and those clicks and pops aren't there. You know, back in the day when a lot of these records came out, they didn't have any other source in a way to listen to these records other than the radio, so they didn't mind the clicks and pops. Or they had stereo equipment where they put it on a turntable and the stylus wasn't so great and it created groove damage. A lot of these records have clicks and pops. We don't really talk about that when it comes to first pressings and we find records, but it is a true thing. So yes, we're getting amazing sound because they are fresh tapes, there is new metal work. We're also, because people played these records, we're getting pops and clicks unless we stumble upon a near mint record. And that's what Station to Station was. And I love Golden Years. I love the song TVC 15. station to station is incredible. David Bowie is amazing, and I've just about got the early and original pressings now. I'm still looking for Hunky Dory, and to be honest with you, the hunt is part of the fun, waiting around for that right pressing to appear. So if you have not watched Riverbend Records and his auctions, I highly recommend it. And I will leave the link below so that you can check out Riverbend Records and find out when those auctions are. Next up is a record from 1968. And when I talk about these early pressings, or first pressings, I should say, a lot of these records are actually promotional copies. So they're the first pressings of the first pressings, according to everything I have read. A lot of times, maybe not every time, a lot of times when it comes to promotional copies, those were the first pressed. And when we're talking about new metal work, the first pressed copies usually sound pretty good. So 1968, we are talking about Blue Cheer Vincebus Eruptum, a great garage rock, a little hint of psychedelia, blues. It's a really strong record, and I was able to get a white label promo of this record in really good condition. Minimal clicks and pops. You know, you don't even really hear them because the music is so raucous and cool. It's such a good record. And again, another wonderful first pressing that I enjoy having in my collection. This is one that truly is one of my crown jewels. I absolutely adore this. And whether they like it or not, they are celebrating their 50th anniversary together. And I'm talking about Buckingham Nicks. This came out in 1973, so it is celebrating 50 years. As you can see, I have a promotional copy. I think it's so cool that I have one of the very, very first pressings of a record that's not impossible to get, but kind of tricky. It takes a little time to find a good copy of it. Now, the record itself is standard Polydor. It's not a white label promo, but this record came with a cool write-up about Buckingham Nicks. And of course, now we know how famous they are. But here's a little write-up about how impressed you might be with them, how great they were before they were famous. So I think that's very cool. They were seeing what we now know. A very great pressing of Buckingham Nicks. Very early first pressing. Here is another great first pressing, very classic, the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. This is a recent acquisition. I've gotten it less than a year ago. This came out back in 1966. We all know and love the music on here. It inspired Sgt. Pepper, which the UK first pressing is right behind me. Really, really great. And I also wanted to show another record that I'm very proud of having, and I bring out every Christmas and enjoy. This is a mono copy. This was also a mono copy, I must say. A really great, cool mono copy of Pet Sounds. And this is a very cool Christmas Beach Boys Christmas album. Little Saint Nick, of course, is the big hit on here. And I love that it has this old sticker. It had went on sale originally. I think it says it was $4.98 back in 1964. That seems like a lot. Went on Christmas special for $1. So what a beautiful, great record. I love listening to that. It's so clean. It doesn't have the pops and clicks, and it sounds gorgeous. This next record is one, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't buy it because I love the music. It's a bubblegum pop kind of sound. And it's not even at its best. I love bubblegum pop when it's really, really good. I think this is a little bit of a weak album. However, when I first started collecting vinyl, I remember talking to my sister and asking her, what record did my mom, or our mom, I should say, own, where this lady's tied up and there's men in the photo. It was just kind of a creepy picture that I couldn't stop looking at when I was a kid. I can remember being a little kid, the room I was in with that golden shag carpet, staring at this album cover, wondering what's going on, and being a little frightened, not nightmare, scared to death kind of fear, but just a little fearful. My sister could not remember what album it was. I honestly don't even remember the music, Mom playing this album, but she had it in her collection. And one day I was looking through records at a record store, and wow, it hit me. This was it. I finally found it. Ohio Express, Mercy. Now, I think I kind of remember the song Mercy being played, but I don't really remember a lot about this record. The music's a little on the weak side, in my opinion. A lot of you, if you love it, that's great. And maybe you grew up with wonderful memories of it. That makes all the difference. This came out in 1969. This is an original copy. It was still in shrink, which I thought was really cool. But the girl tied up at the bottom really freaked me out. I didn't know what was going on. I don't know why there was just one woman there and she was tied up and these guys looked like they were about to get in a fight. I don't know if they were fighting over her. I didn't know what was going on. And of course, you look at it now and it's kind of humorous. It's campy, but it was a little creepy. So having that original, just for the memories of staring at it, you know, it's one of those things you're flipping through and it's something you hadn't thought about in years. And all of a sudden you see it and it brings back a million memories. That's why I like going to antique stores. I see things that I remember from childhood. I can see things like, oh yeah, Mom had one of those. I love that feeling. I don't buy everything I see that reminds me of my mom, but I had to buy that one because I can truly remember being in the living room of my childhood home, gold carpet, and just seeing that album cover and wondering what is going on. Next up is a very cool Blonde on Blonde. This one is from 1966. It has Claudia Cardinale in the gatefold, and it's truly amazing. I don't know why she requested to have her picture removed. It's a good picture, and why would you not want to be in a Bob Dylan gatefold? That's a little puzzling to me. This is a stereo version. I love having an original of it. I think it's extremely cool. And I have countless copies of this record. I have the Vinyl Me Please, that's fantastic. I have it in the mono box set. So I have stereo, mono. I have the MoFi of it. It's just such a classic, and I love having an original with that original gatefold of Claudia Cardinale in the gatefold. Here's another record that I would say I don't listen to as often, but I love the harmonies, the Phil Spectorization of it. It's an older record that I love, and I love the record label. The Dixie Cups, Chapel of Love, I should say. And I love the song Going to the Chapel. I think it's such a classic. I love the movie Father of the Bride, which of course this appears in. Anytime you go to a wedding, it doesn't matter. When I go and I'm getting ready for a wedding, this song goes in my head automatically. It's a very good album. This came out back in 1964. I adore Redbird, the Redbird label. My mom had 45s of songs that were on that Redbird label. I don't remember exactly which ones they were, but it's just an overall very, very good, cool, early 60s type of record. Again, I love the label, Redbird. I adore it. I just think that's such a cool label. It brings back wonderful memories of listening to my mom's old 45s. The next records I'm going to show are from Graham Parsons, and I adore the records that he put out. Of course, he was in the Byrds for a minute and put a little country rock style music into their discography and did his own solo work. And I think he was very smart to add Emmylou Harris in to duet with him and to harmonize with him. And I think his records are really, really good. And I was thrilled to find this for $12. I was in Florida, and my husband and I always go record shopping when we're on vacation. I found this on a Holy Moly wall in a terrific record store, 12 bucks. I was so thrilled. Reprise, it's on that brown Reprise label. I have a lot of records on the Reprise label that are originals that I really love, and I always think Reprise sounds really, really good. Here's the other that I have, and it is a promotional copy of Grievous Angel. Really his biggest, probably most popular. The song Love Hurts is so beautiful on here, and he sings it with Emmylou Harris. It's glorious. This is a white label promo on the Reprise label. So good. Let me take it out here. I think it's hard to see. So a beautiful copy, and I'm thrilled to own it. That one, Grievous Angel, came out in 1974, and then sadly we lost him, and I wonder what else he would have done. I enjoy every incarnation of Graham Parsons' solo career, his Flying Burrito Brothers. I also enjoy him with the Birds. So sad that he died so young. This is a record that's so cool to me. This one came out in 1969, which makes me think, wow, this band was together for such a long time. Stand Up by Jethro Tull. And I know Analog Productions recently put out a reissue of this with the original gatefold, and I'm sure it sounds wonderful. I don't need it. This one, 1969, a great record, and one of my favorite, if not my favorite, gatefold of all time. I mean, how can you beat that? How cool. You open it up and, you know, it just reminds me of being a little girl. Those pop-up books were so special. I really loved having all those pop-up books when I was a kid, and that is a pop-up book for adults, so to speak. A wonderful record by Jethro Tull. So on the Reprise label again. The next record is another Reprise release, and it's fantastic. It did not catch on originally. It wasn't this huge hit from the start, but critics loved it, and eventually it found an audience, and it definitely has a huge appreciation today. The Kinks and the Village Green Preservation Society. And I was able to find a beautiful first pressing of this record. It came out back in 1969. What a beautiful gatefold. So good. I really enjoy the harmonies, the guitar playing. I adore the song Picture Book. It's one of my favorites on here. Such a great record. It's so hard to find, you know, it wasn't a massive hit. So finding an original, where I found an original, is pretty amazing. So I really love having this one. I make videos sometimes. There is a chain of record stores where I find records way, way overpriced. And at the same time, while I'm digging, I find things like this for $20. So really, really cool. I think it was around 20, and I'm absolutely thrilled to own it. Here's a record that came out in 1960, and I recently got some new stereo equipment upgrades, and I will make a video in here in a few weeks about it. I'm still in the in-love phase, so to speak. This record is one that I always thought, it sounds okay, and then I put it on with my new stereo equipment, and it was like, whoa, I'm in love. 1960. Etta James at Last. And I've shown this on my channel before. I love the patina. I love having an original of it. I wasn't thinking this record sounded all that great. It's on the Argo label. And out of all the records, I will admit this one has the most clicks and pops. I think Argo is a little known for that. Unfortunately, I also think that the Argo master tapes, a lot of them are gone already, including this record. From a fire. So this one has some clicks and pops, but the song At Last miraculously does not have any clicks and pops. I love all of the songs on here. Anything to Stay You're Mine is so good. Sunday Kind of Love is so good. Of course, At Last is the classic. Someone did sign this record in the back, but I don't mind. I can't even read their writing. I love having this pressing. It sells for a lot of money now. It didn't when I saw this one on a Holy Moly wall, again, on a trip to Florida. I find some of my best records when I'm on vacation. You know, we go to record stores. I don't have great ones right in the city where I live. I have a decent one, but I don't have great ones. So I love finding stuff like that. Again, a very, very cool original that I treasure in my collection. And finally, I'm going to show you the Yardbirds, Little Games. Such a great record. It came out in 1967. I love this one, and as you can see in the picture, a very, very young Jimmy Page is on here. And of course, after this, he goes on to try to find a new group he wanted to call the New Yardbirds. They became Led Zeppelin. I love this record. It is on the Epic record label. Oh, and I want to show you too. There is a sticker barely hanging on here, but if you look, this gold foil, it is a promotional copy from the Yardbirds from 1967. And when you hear this record, you automatically hear Over the Hill and Far Away. I mean, the tone of Jimmy Page guitar. I mean, you can tell it's him. You can, you know, now that I know the Led Zeppelin catalog, you can hear the beginnings of the Led Zeppelin sound on this record. It is a mono copy. Apologize for the noise, you guys. On this Epic label. So fantastic. So those are some of the originals in my record collection that I find to be treasures. Let me know what you have in the comments. Of course, you can see around me some of the others that I've talked about a lot. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.